Hi, good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Well, there was a bit of hilarity. It's kind of been a bit down and negative, all the news around Celtic, and the confidence of a certain team lying way down in the bottom of the league, and the fact that they were proclaiming that this Messiah was coming back. The Messiah who had only won one title out of 9 opportunities to win something. And he done that throughout the COVID year when there was no fans. But the homecoming king didn't come back, did he? Even Chris Sutton says, it was breaking news last night, Steven Gerrard will not become the next Rangers boss. Chris Sutton said he assessed the squad and thought, nah. Not happening. It's not happening at all, is it? I make no apologies for this video this morning because as a Celtic fan of a certain age, we lived through the 1990s and the cheating that went on with that said old version of the club. And we can live and laugh about this because them that laugh last laughed the longest. And back in the 1990s, Celtic fans used to sing, always look on the bright side of life. Something that Rangers fans can't do. As Cozy 1872 says, it's like being on a hamster wheel of misery for nearly 14 years. Surely one day it ends. Defiant. Natalie says, I'm 26, I think I'll probably be dead before I see Rangers win the title. Absolutely hilarious. It is hilarious, and like I said, I make no apologies for this video this morning because, it's a slow news week with Celtic. There's nothing really of, game changing stuff out there. But this is the gift that keeps giving since 2012. 2012. We're on 2025, and they are still giving. They are still offering us up banter years content after all this time, and it goes on, and it does go on. 3 things we could be sure of: death, taxes, and Celtic fans secretly shitting themselves at the thought of Gerrard's coming back. Wonder how Davy Pops is feeling this morning, as he didn't even walk away this time. We all know that they do walking away fantastic. There's nobody down walking away like Rangers do walking away. It's the worst American accent ever. If anyone can do a Trump version of of a Rangers fan saying we don't do walking away like Rangers do walking away, they don't even do walking in now. So Celtic fans were rolling a bit laughing because they're getting some guy roll and is the next manager. But anyway, Slippy G decided not to even walk in the door this time. And then the final bit of banter years that I thought I'd go through. Let's get rid of that. And it was obviously the news when it broke last night. Stevie Gerrard breaks Rangers cover. They thought he was sick. They thought he was coming. Gerrard has held talks with US owners. He's coming. He's no. No, he's no. And that's the hilarity of it this morning. And I make no apologies for the fact that we're laughing at it. But what it does do is it got me thinking. And there was one headline that I did see. There was one thing on Twitter that I did see. And with Celtic fans looking for change, looking for a change of ownership, looking for change of directors, maybe this is a little bit of a word of warning. Now, a lot of people, they want rid of the board. A lot of people don't want rid of the board. There's a big majority who want rid of the board. But maybe it is just a little word of warning. When you see headlines like this, the first few months of the new ownership has been disastrous. Come on, Rangers, give the people what they want. Well, they couldn't and they didn't. And should we be wary of implementing such massive change at Celtic when you see that absolutely wins the second funeral? In all seriousness, I think that it's great that we won't change at Celtic, but I think that we should make sure that it's small changes and we can get to the bigger changes that we want in time. I think if we were to go down the road of such drastic change, the way that mob has done across the city on an ongoing basis, they went from one calamity to the next, and Rangers weren't even playing yesterday, and somehow their club still ruined their weekend. Jesus. Exactly. They weren't even playing and they still managed it. The Huns are coming. Yeah, they are that. They are that. Let me just see. I'm going to jump into some of the comments. Stop their arse, you know. It's good to see Lanky back in. Castle Grayskull is coming again. Not money talks, Gerard walks. I don't think it was about money. Don't know. That's the best one this morning. When is the second funeral? Why would he take the job? Because he's not teaching them nothing because they're rotten. Do you know what? I'm relishing in the moment, but there's only 2 more managers till Christmas. I don't think. Do you know what? It doesn't matter who takes the job over there. It's the biggest poison chalice, and the way that the new owners will run the business. And I think that the new owners would have stuck with their manager, and I think that they led to peer pressure from the fans. And that takes me back to the sort of the big headline that came out from that lot, and I think it's something that we really need to be wary of. The first few months of new ownership has been disastrous. Do you know, we didn't get lucky with the new ownership at Celtic in the 1990s. We were saved. Celtic don't need saved at the current moment. They just need tweaked. And I think that if we can tweak what we have at Celtic, tweak to make it better, I think that Celtic can build from strength there. But I do think that wholesale change that we're looking at as the collective, do you know, wanting complete change on the board, wanting rid of Dermot, the warning signs are there, do you know, and it's just something to think about. It is just something to think about. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it. I think that we need to do it in small increment changes. I think it's the best way. You can manage change, and what they do wrong is they do not manage change well. It's where Celtic have got a fantastic opportunity here. The fans have got a fantastic opportunity to try and bring in small bits of change. Small bits of change over a period of time is better than complete disastrous spell that they're having. But anyway, who cares about them? Because it is all about the Celtic news. It was interesting to see James Forrest. Yes, James Forrest. Make a little trip over to Ireland to watch a little game of football. Just a little game of football. Was that him looking at life after football? Wonder if James is going to go to a League of Ireland club to coach. Bit like someone else did from Celtic. And then they ended up getting a bigger job somewhere else. But anyway, we'll wait and see. Because you've got to remember that this is the last season. Yes, it's the last season of James Forrest at Celtic. And he will be thinking about his future. He will be thinking about where he goes. And it's going to be a sad end to the year. No matter what happens with Celtic, it is ultimately going to be a sad end to this career of James Forrest. Having watched him come through in 2009 and watched him thrive as a young player coming through the Celtic team. And you think of the managers that James Forrest has played for at Celtic. I mean, that's a roll of honour on its own. It's a complete roll of honour on anyone's CV to have been coached by some of the most successful managers in Celtic's current history. I said current history. And when we do get to the end of the season, I hope he doesn't get stick through the season. And I hope that James Forrest, as a player, gets shown the respect that this guy is due. Because he's an absolute living legend. He's the most decorated player of the club. He's the guy that stuck with Celtic through and through. Do you know there's been other Scott Brown spoke to him about trying to take him away for Celtic, and he was like, no. Do you know? I wonder what other managers over the years have spoke to him. You know, James, you're not first team pick. Don't care. I'm home. I'm where I want to be. And yet some folk will give him stick and say he's past it. I think that for the rest of the season, I think we should stop any kind of. Do you know, if you go online and you give abuse to James Forrest, you need to give yourself a good look. You need to look in the mirror and go, the fuck are you doing, mate? Don't know, this guy's going to be up there with the Bobby Lennoxes, and he already is. Do you know, in years to come, you never realise what you've got until you lose it with football players. Do you know, we knew what we had with Henrik Larsson, and then we really appreciated them once we had lost them. We spent years trying to find an adequate replacement for Henrik, and we never really got someone that was at that level. The ever sarcastic Mo says, stuck with Celtic? Aye, real chore on 20 grand a week. Mo, he could have, I reckon he could have went down south and got way more than 20 grand a week. Easily. Easily. Assuming we swear sausage slice Baza and Ray back until Christmas. Oh, jeez. I'm just reading some of that. It's just Stephen. Is Defoe getting the job after punting himself all over it? Anyway, I'm just reading back the comments. There's just still talking about them, isn't there? The only change, in my opinion, will be Peter Lawwell to retire. I think if that's one of the agendas that happens, it can only be a good thing for Celtic. Don't know. Just shows you. Couldn't guarantee another pandemic. Dave King says, get a grip on him. He could have left but chose to stay. I think there was plenty opportunities for him to leave. Wee James, he was close to signing for Newcastle at one point. It is always the case that, you know, we do seem to give our own the hardest time as fans. Why is it coming up German? It's fucking English. German? My computer's now saying that it's translating from German to English. I have no idea why. And they say that the computer doesn't listen to you. Because I was talking about our German neighbours. Anyway, so yeah, talking about James Forrest, there's a lot of people saying that, about the pathway manager. Spurs were interested in under Harry Redknapp. Yeah, see, Peter Lawwell is selling his house. Well, apparently he stays in Portugal now. So I think that the AGM would be good. I mean, would that be enough for the collective at the current moment? I mean, I know it's a retirement, and he was retired before and he came back to the club. But would that be enough to appease the apathy of the fans? I mean, it's an interesting, and Mo, I know you're only kidding, and you always like to wind folk up on the chat. It's quite funny. James Forrest is a lawyer and professional football player, pure gent of a man. Yeah, he is that. Nobody's disputing that. But then talking about Peter Lawwell, would the retirement of Peter Lawwell, and I did say that this could be something that could happen, and it could, and this is why I think that the conversation, the real conversation that was had between Nicholson and the manager, I think I think people know where the leaked document or the leak information came from, and we know whose fingerprints were all over it, and maybe that's why when we scored the last minute winner in the game the other week, and Lawwell was just sitting, wasn't even celebrating at the end of the game. Do you know, Nicholson was up, yes, we won. And there's Lawwell sitting next to him. Lawwell, when you read the body language of that moment, and you could be looking into this too much, but is that the moment where Peter Lawwell let it know publicly that his tenure is coming to an end? And if it is, does he feel personally that he's getting chased out of Celtic? And that's why he was sitting in the frame of mind that he was sitting in. Because deep down, I mean, he's worked for Celtic since the 1990s. He's given a lot of time to Celtic, and he's done a lot of good over the years, but he's also done a lot of bad. Don't know. We can all say that about Lawwell. He's overseen Celtic at a fantastically positive time, and it was him that used to stand up and say, "Look, we want to be the dominant force in Scottish football." That's the major aim, and I think that he thought coming as chairman of Celtic, he thought he would just be the happy senior figure at Celtic that was remembered for all the positive things. But Celtic fans remember all the fucking shit that he also caused during his time at Celtic. And will it be enough? Stevie G says no. Makes you think he's not been at games at the AGM. That's a sign. Something telling me the leak is Simon Donnelly. Oof. Oh. Do you think Simon Donnelly's Peter Lawwell's mouth of the south? That's interesting. Does Simon Donnelly also work for Celtic Quick News? Who was leaking the team last season? No idea. And I don't think that, because Peter Lawwell and that, they're not. But then when they go to the hotel and Brendan does the team sheet, does it get printed out at the hotel? Does it get printed out at Celtic Park? Does it even get printed out? Is it emailed? Because they like to Eddie, Baz, what's your situation on Brendan and Janu? Peter Joel, is a data analyst. Yeah, no, he joined under the old board. This is the irony of the situation. He's one of the dinosaurs from the old regime. Do you know, it was White and Kelly's that brought him in, which is completely bizarre that he's managed to stay around. And Peter Lawwell was also the reason that fucking a certain Michael Kelly still sneaks into Celtic Park sometimes. Shouldn't be anywhere near it. They're going to need another pretender from Europe as manager. Who cares about that? Lawwell retiring would help, but it would depend who replaces him, says Martin. Yeah, Martin, I'm just kind of thinking, would that be enough to... we all want change. But I do think that we need to make it small changes over a period of time. Going in for such drastic amount of change on the board in one season. I mean, look at the shit show across the road. And then, I mean, Stevie G was given 3 seasons to turn things around. I don't think any manager at that club across the road, and certainly no manager at Celtic would be given 3 seasons. If we had a manager that lost everything in the first season, he would be chased out the door. Do you know, we're not prepared as fans now, and some will say that this is the entitlement of the current Celtic family and the Celtic fan base, but we wouldn't accept going from being the number 1 team in Scotland for the best part of 25 years to 3 seasons of mediocreness and winning absolutely nothing. That just wouldn't happen at all. And maybe a new board that come into Celtic, and new people that come into Celtic go, oh, we're running the business here. We're running the football club as a business. So that there is things that you really need to think about. And you're talking about corporate governance and all that type of thing. Yes, there's changes that can be made there, but if you make too many changes at one time, shit hits the fan. The issues lie with Lawwell. Yeah, definitely. It's 100% Lawwell going back all over the years. And I thought when he left, I thought it was going to be a great time for the club, but it turned out it didn't. Maybe paid well going would give the club a younger member on the board a chance to breathe. The younger members of the board chance to breathe. I don't think that it's necessarily... Who's the one that says if we have... Who's the one that demands the email to say, right, we're going to spend 10 million on a player, for instance? Where is the hierarchy? Because if it's not Nicholson and Mackay, if there's someone above Nicholson and Mackay, and that person above them does not believe, and this all comes down to Lawwell, because Lawwell did the job. You've got to remember, Peter Lawwell did the job of Nicholson and Mackay. Those two posts were created. Lawwell did both those jobs, and maybe it is Lawwell. Maybe Lawwell's the one that's got the grab, and he's fucking using these two as puppets. And maybe it would. That's a cracking comment, Gav boy. And maybe that also comes. And do you know what? You're thinking about it. With Brendan Rodgers saying, do you know, I work with these two guys, and these are Celtic men, and they are not the issue. Maybe that was Brendan Rodgers saying, and I've said before, there's a power struggle between Brendan Rodgers and Lawwell. You know, they could when Brendan Rodgers came back, they could be all fucking smiles and everything, and you know, and they tried to get the handshake with Lawwell when it didn't kind of come off, because they kind of just looked at each other and went, "Yeah, he fucking hates me." Do you know what? And Brendan coming out and saying there are people here that do not want me here. It's all Lawwell, isn't it? So maybe you're right. Maybe getting rid of Lawwell will give these two the chance to shine on their own. Maybe Brendan Rodgers is right. But then we don't know. We don't know Lawwell. Get Lawwell out. Just going on through it. Who's your player of the season? I reckon it'll be Scales. It's too early to talk about player of the season. I usually make a prediction about most improved player at the beginning of the season, who I think will be my most... And I called out Scales that season, remember. And I can't see anyone in the squad that's going to... There's no one yet that I can see shining. Tenecti, maybe. If he turns it on the way that he looks as if he can, Tenecti might be a shining light. There's a lot of players at Celtic just now that have came to Celtic during the summer, and one especially that's way off it. And we can all talk about Kieran Tierney. I think everyone had these memories of Kieran Tierney when he was at Celtic, and he was a machine. And 5 years at Arsenal, or was it 5 years at Arsenal, it's kind of ruined him as a player, and it stole something from him. His physicality is not there. He looks as if he's, he looks to me as if he's lost weight. He needs bulking up. And as a player, as he was getting... I mean, you look at the size of James Forrest's thighs used to be when he was younger. I mean, he was a tank. And it was no wonder that James Forrest was one of the fastest guys at Celtic. Tierney's only, 27, 28? He should be at the peak of his career. But it looks as if he's regressed away back to he was like 19-year-old. And I just think that he needs to build himself up. But I don't know. I don't know who's going to be player of the season. Someone may come out between now and the end of the season and score 20-odd goals. I don't know. If anyone, it could be Kells, one of the managers. don't know. You could bring someone in. You could bring someone in January, and that hits the ground running and scores 15 goals for us. Mo says it's time for Rodgers. Not interested in staying anyway. He promised 3 years. It was a milestone for him. Yeah, I'm not disputing that more. I think that it's. I think it is time. This year will be the penultimate year. This year will be the swan song for Brendan. I don't see the style of football, the untogetherness, the connectivity between the manager, Tisdale, and the board just isn't there. Something's not right. Whether too much emphasis has been put on stats of a player rather than Brendan Rodgers going, do you know what, I really like this player. He could really do a trick for us. That doesn't seem to happen. Doesn't seem to happen at all, which I think is devastating, because your manager's the man who has to have the eye for the player. But he doesn't seem to have it. Lawwell out, simple as that. Yeah. Martin O'Neill is chairman. Oh. Now there's one. Would he take it up? I think he would if he was asked. Our greatest modern manager at the helm of the club. That would send that other lot over the edge, wouldn't it? That would send them over the edge. That would be a cracking shout. Because let's face it, chairman's just a figurehead. The chairman he doesn't make any decisions on a day-to-day running of the club. He's there as a figurehead, and you couldn't think of a better figurehead at Celtic. Oh, that would be a cracker. Because he's been out of the game long enough to know. I mean, it's like when Fergie taken up a position at Man United. I mean, he was upstairs and he had nothing to do with the team, and managers never felt the influence, or maybe they did. But he's been very vocal, Martin O'Neill. Do you know, he publicly stood there and asked Ange Postecoglou live on television, "Are you staying at Celtic?" He's very direct. I think that would be a fantastic appointment. Absolutely fantastic appointment. Scales has been our best centre back for nearly a year. He's overrated. Yeah, but is he player of the year? I don't think so. I hope we're doing our homework now to find Rodgers' replacement. I hope so as well. Doesn't matter if the team is leaked. In my day, you knew the team days before, so they could print it into the programme. Yeah, this is true, I suppose. Their fans scare the team. Martin says Martin O'Neill, but that's an interesting one. Maybe we should start a campaign for Martin O'Neill as chairman of Celtic. That's a campaign that would get 100% behind, because it gives you a man that's respected by the fans. It gives you someone that has fantastic football knowledge. It gives you someone that's media savvy. It gives you someone that will speak up for Celtic on every fucking opportunity. The way that you think back to the way that Martin O'Neill spoke about the team and defended against Juventus when we had that unbelievable result against Juventus back in the day. That's what you need at Celtic, isn't it? You need that and that's what fans are. Do you know? And it's that passion. Do you know? Not just from the terraces to the pitch, but it gives you that passion from the fans to the boardroom. And maybe that's the figurehead that we need. Never mind trying to get fans collective onto the board. Bypass it and just get Martin O'Neill in. Because Martin O'Neill, do you know, there's more chance of Martin O'Neill coming down the pub and talking to the Celtic fans and say, right, let's talk about this. Do you know, if the Celtic fans are having a meeting down at the CSA, Martin goes, are they? Tell him to keep a seat for me down the front. Because Martin would come down. And he'd come and talk to you. And that's the difference. That's the new campaign that we need to start. Martin O'Neill for chairman. Definitely. Let me just jump through some of the comments. Cheers, Chris. It's fantastic. When Brendan said the board bleed Celtic, he was referring to bleeding mean bleed us dry. Yeah, this is true. I thought Brendan wanted to do 3 years and then step away to maybe football director. Nah, he'll do his 3 years and then he'll bugger off to Mallorca, which had heavy rain last night. He'll bugger off to Mallorca, and he wanted to take a year out in Mallorca before. Well, he was in Mallorca when he got the call from Celtic. Do you know, he was planning on a year of living in the sun, just going to watch Spanish football or whatever. He doesn't want to leave the club for anywhere. He's done with management. Do you think he's done with management? I don't think so. I think that he's got one more decent job now. He doesn't need the money, Martin. Sorry, not Martin. Brendan. He doesn't need the money. He's minted. He's been getting paid $3 million a year for Celtic. He got paid handsomely from his time at Leicester, Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? He's not exactly skint. I think that he would take a year out and maybe do some TV stuff. I don't know. He'd be player of the season if the season stopped tomorrow. Don't say that, because that means it could be a COVID year coming in. Lawwell's always been the problem. Can't stand him. Yeah, this is very true. Simpson Puzzi, player, no games, crashed playing a blinder. He did play a game for Celtic the other night, and we got beat 5-3 for the B team. Jesus. I'm just jumping through the comments. Looks like Big Ange's first 2 windows with the player brought in quickly. Lawwell, backroom problems, players, yeah. Katie is lazy. Big money has killed him. I don't think that he's lazy, and I don't think that big money has killed him. I think that there's fitness issues that need to be addressed and that are being addressed. Katie has tree trunks, thighs like tree trunks. They're not as big as what they used to be when he was at Celtic. It looks as if he's lost weight. No, we don't miss Taylor. No, I don't think we miss Taylor. Brendan and the board back in the transfer. We're all smiling. If Brendan got the backing of the board in the transfer market, we'd all be smiling now. He can only play with the hand he's dealt. Yeah, this is true. This is true. And I think that, it's a case of we just get on with it now to the end of the season. Anyway, that's been on for half an hour this morning. I'm just going to run through. Home from home, Baz, with the rain. Yeah. Not qualify for the Champions League still hurts. Yeah, it does. It does. I've not even watched any Champions League games this year. And I usually enjoy watching the Champions League games, but I can't bear to watch it this year. But anyway, I'm sure that'll change once it gets to it starts getting exciting. AGS text says Rodgers will take one big job abroad next. I think he'll go to Spain first before he takes a big Saudi. I don't think he'll go to America. I think there's chances if he was offered a job in Spain, I think he would take it up tomorrow. I think he would. Well, not tomorrow, but after his time at Celtic, I think he would. But then again, you never know. You never know. Anyway, thanks you to everyone who has joined in the live this morning. It's been absolutely fantastic. And we should end it on the hilarity, shouldn't we? We should just remind ourselves of the absolute hilarity that is going on across the city. Rangers fans says Chris Sutton said that he assessed the squad. And he said, no thanks. They don't even do walking away. In fact, they don't even do walking in now before they do walking away. Quasi 1872 says it's been like living on a hamster wheel for nearly 14 years. Surely one day it'll end, man. Natalie says, I'm 26. Probably be dead before I see Rangers win the title again. That's so scuddered. Soul destroyed. I love the pain. I absolutely love the pain of them because, you know, it's, and you've got to think as well, there's a generation of Celtic fans that do not know them consistently winning. And the crap that we had to put up with. 3 things that you can be sure of, says Davies. Taxes. Death, taxes, and Celtic fans secretly shouting themselves about the thought of Gerrard coming back. Well, that worked out good for you, mate. And then the headlines. Stevie Gerrard breaks cover in the nod. Expected return. Timeline named. He's coming back. Yes, we are the fucking people. And then a couple of hours later, Stevie Gerrard turns down Rangers as Iceball Club seat. You cannot make it up. Oh, those are the best ones. The Daily Record, then Sky going, no, he isn't he? And Danny Roll. Was it a rolling sausage? Danny Roll about. I hope he does the head flip, like, I hope he does a tumble. Like, what was his name? It was, but anyway. And then a little word of warning, and something that we should take heed of. Heart and Mind, which is the big mouth for the Rangers mob. The first few months of this ownership has been disastrous. Maybe that's something that Celtic need to take heed of going forward. And maybe, just maybe, Martin O'Neill is the one to save the day for Celtic. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic Sunday, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.